Hi everyone, this is Jamie Shanks, CEO of Sales for Life, and so excited to introduce Adam King, Head of Sales at Vidyard. And we are going to talk about 5 creative ways to use video to close the big deals, to reel in the whales. And so we're on video, as you can imagine. I've got Adam King here live. And what we're going to do is talk about real life experiences of being able to build sales pipeline, bring in those new logos that you dream of using video. Adam, perhaps introduce yourself to the team.
Hey guys, thanks Jamie. First off, appreciate having us on today. It's always good to connect. And yeah, as Jamie mentioned, I'm Adam King, the head of sales at Vidyard. So I run both our sort of BDR functionality in terms of opening up new opportunities, as well as our account executive and solutions consulting team. Been here for about 2 years. It's a great ride, and yeah, super excited about just video in general in terms of what's happening in the industry.
The reason that we love this, so we use it ourselves, our customers use it, we deploy it into all of our customers. The biggest reason that we love it, imagine having this all integrated into the CRM, end-to-end solution. Most important to me as a seller, I need to know who has buying intent. And so in my CRM, I can pull up usage, who is actually consuming content consumption. And number two, who's part of the buying committee I don't already know about. So imagine my videos are moving their way throughout the organization and I can map all those details. That and as well, the library that the team can leverage, a marketing team can leverage to be able to have your distribution army of sellers out there deploying those videos. That's why we absolutely love it. So what we're going to do today, as I mentioned, walk through how we use this. And so I'm going to queue up. Adam is going to be our main announcer. I'll be color commentary along the journey.
Beautiful. Yeah, thanks, Jamie. So for the folks online today, there's really 5 things that we're going to focus on in this session, and we'll showcase some examples in each of these categories. First and foremost, I think as sales professionals on the line, we all know how hard it is to get that first meeting. So we're going to showcase some ideas of how video can help you book more meetings and target key accounts. We'll showcase how video can make it much more personal when you're doing outreach and be a point of differentiation as you're competing for mind share with thousands of other software companies. We'll talk about how we've had success and our customers have had success reviving that sort of dreaded dark deal. And then we'll wrap up with a couple interesting sort of examples of different ways that we use video. So the video sales proposal, and then also how we can use video as a way to make the customer onboarding experience an exceptional experience. So those are the five sort of categories today. But before we jump into sort of specific examples, Jamie, I thought I'd sort of set the stage for why I think that this is like such an important conversation. It's so relevant to what we're working on today. If you think about sort of our day-to-day lives and how we use technology and what we do on the internet, I think we're all seeing, I certainly am, my family and my colleagues and friends, that video is exploding on the internet, whether it be LinkedIn or Instagram or YouTube, etc. It's just absolutely becoming a daily part of our life. And you can see some of the stats that, in terms of predictions in just a few short years, they're predicting that 80% of internet traffic is going to be video. So that's happening. And then in parallel, we're seeing that our customers are gravitating more and more towards video to educate themselves, right? So video is like a really important part of what our customers are researching and looking at when they're making buying decisions and educating themselves. And then the third thing that we're seeing happening, this was actually some stats from a sales hacker ebook that came out last week, and you can see that as sales professionals, we're gravitating more and more towards video in our day-to-day life. So basically, video is exploding across the internet. Our customers are using it more. Sales teams are using it more. But the interesting thing that we see happen, still happening in the industry, is that despite that backdrop, despite the fact that video is exploding, people are still sort of doing the same, right, and expecting the same results. And so, I think about the way that I get prospected as a head of sales. I probably get 10 or 15 different emails every single day from different software companies looking for, attention and mind share and budget. And the majority of the emails that I get are super impersonal. They're text-based. There's nothing really relevant. They're not that exciting. And so that's where, we really see right now that video is a great opportunity to really be different, really stand out in the inbox when you're doing outreach. It's a great way to connect on a more personal level. And then it's a great way, as you mentioned, to really focus your efforts on the most engaged prospects and leads. And I'm going to showcase a couple examples of how we do that in a second. So, despite the fact that this is sort of an explosive category, just video in general, I still think that video as part of the selling cadence is in its infancy. And so this really truly is a unique opportunity to sort of stand out and be different. I think I saw one of your posts on LinkedIn the other day that talked about it being a purple cow. And I actually had to go and look that up. So maybe I'd love to get your perspective on sort of video being a purple cow today.
Well, I'll tell you about the real life purple cow that happened at 8 a.m. this morning. So on Friday afternoon last week, I get a message from a customer or a potential customer in London, England. And he says, I stumbled, and this was a LinkedIn email. I stumbled upon you as I was looking for other strategic account-based selling programs. I want to talk. And so when I was on the call this morning in England at 8 o'clock, it turns out that a competitor to my business actually liked one of my Vidyard videos around, I try to do kind of tip of the day. Well, that tip of the day was around account-based selling and building a sphere of influence around a customer, triggers, referrals, insights, and competitive intelligence. And it completely changed the framework of how this buyer had looked at surrounding an account. But in the bottom right-hand corner was me in the video alongside the screen share. And it humanized myself. And so when we jumped on the call this morning, he felt like he knew me already because he had then watched subsequent other videos. So the purple cow is, it's a saying stolen from Seth Godin, and means that basically if a purple cow were walking down the street right now, I guarantee you would take notice of it. And it's because less than 1% of the 1% of sellers are actually using this to teach, tailor, and take control of the conversation.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think it is changing though. Like we're seeing this sort of acceleration of people gravitating towards video just based on some of the stuff we saw from Sales Hacker. So it's definitely changing, but there still is an opportunity to sort of be different and unique. So so hopefully, for the folks on the line, they agree with and sort of see what's happening with video in the industry, both from a buyer and from a seller perspective. And so with that in mind, wanted to showcase a number of ways that our customers are using video today to, personalize outreach, to do custom screen captures or micro demos, which is one of my favorite. I'm gonna showcase a couple of examples of micro demos in a second. To your point, taking really great marketing curated content and putting it into the hands of the sales team to extend its reach, but then most importantly, figuring out, getting the analytics on who's watching what content, so that you can really focus your efforts and drill down deeper. So that's sort of the backdrop, and with that, I'm going to jump into to five different ideas. I think we actually have six because there's a 1A and a 1B. So the first one. So when we first built Go Video, we were experimenting with just basic video, like record something, download it to your computer, upload it to email, and we noticed that response rates with emails that contain video messages were much higher than just a straight text-based email, probably 3 to 5x higher. So we know that just including video by itself can make can improve the response rates of your outreach, and so it's a great way to grab someone's attention. So a couple different examples here. We have sort of on the left-hand side a basic webcam example. So our team will use a whiteboard and write the person's name down and do a quick outreach, and it really stands out in their inbox and sort of compels someone to click and see what's behind it. We've also seen some of our customers do something a little bit more casual and friendly. So here's an example from one of our customers at Impact with their dog in the background. It just sort of piques your curiosity and it makes you want to hit play, right? So video by itself is a great way to, just the webcam video can draw someone's attention. But on the right-hand side, another one of my favorites is sort of doing a screen capture and recording maybe something on the customer's website that you thought was interesting. Hey, I was doing research on LinkedIn or on your website. I noticed that you're thinking about ABC, and I think it would be really relevant to talk for these reasons. So screen capture can be a great way to sort of showcase a particular subject, or maybe even like, do a quick demonstration recording of your solution. So that's, that was sort of the first thing we noticed, was that, video by itself would boost response rates. But when you make the video much more tailored and personalized, your response rates will increase even further. And so, I think about, when you're doing really targeted outreach, maybe you've got 20 named accounts, you want to make sure that that outreach is personalized to the accounts that you're reaching out to. So including their name and maybe something that's relevant to that particular customer on your whiteboard is going to grab their attention and increase the chances of them responding even further. On the right-hand side, this is one of my personal favorites. When we're doing like really targeted outreach to specific accounts, we'll use the concept of a micro demo. So we'll do our research, we'll figure out something that's important to them, and then we'll record maybe a real quick 1-2 minute demo of our solution, just saying, hey, we were doing our research, we know that we understand this is important to you. We wanted to give you a real sneak peek at how our platform could support that particular topic, right? And if you're interested, we'll certainly schedule a more detailed conversation and demonstration. So that concept of micro demo is super, super powerful when you're doing account-based prospecting. You could even record something on the website, right? Hey, I'm on your website. I see that you're doing ABC. Have you thought about doing it this way to drive this sort of different result? So it's a great way to bring something to life.
This is great. Two real quick examples. I had shown, just as you were talking, the whiteboard, if you can see the screen, but we were trying to win Hugh Frady. The CEO, Hugh Frady, is a part owner of the Chicago Cubs. And so Miriam on our team actually would, and she did this with Terminex as well. She would draw little bugs on the whiteboard, but she drew Chicago Cubs stuff, and she was making videos to the Hugh Frady team. Immediately got their attention because the Hugh Frady team was so connected to the Chicago Cubs.
Yep.
Something that you just showed me here, micro demos, and making it highly tailored. Recently, we saw this in the retail and staging industry, where in the retail and staging industry, that's the people that actually put together the sound booths, the lights, the cameras at a conference, as an example. One of the biggest fears of a marketer was, okay, I just purchased this $100,000 system. Is it going to show up in Vegas on time? Is it going to set up in time? So what these people were doing is, the seller would be, hi, my name's Jamie Shanks. I work at TSX Sound Studios. I want you to introduce you to the plant guy. Now, this is John. And John actually just shipped your materials yesterday, and then would walk over to the other person. Here is, and they would film like opening the box. Here's your camera. It's in great condition. They would just make it really experiential, and the marketers felt so comfortable, like, oh, my stuff's going to show up in Vegas. This is going to be great.
Yeah, well, it's a great example of like first-class customer service, right? Like you feel like you're getting sort of this golden level of service, but it's really, really simple to do on the back end, right? To create that video and sort of showcase the people behind the scenes. So yeah, I love that example. And the one that I was going to showcase here, hopefully I won't break the recording here, but so this was a really, really cool example from one of our customers out west, Media Valet, and they were sort of challenged with how do we shorten our sales cycle, and what they realized. And we'll send this link out afterwards to just get people access to the actual details. But what they noticed was that one of the kinks in their sales cycle was that at any given time there was around they had to schedule a whole bunch of different demonstrations of particular integrations, and that put a pause in the sales cycle because they'd have to book a time with an implementation consultant. So what they did to address this is they recorded those quick 1-2 minute examples of their top 20 technology integrations, and then put them in the hands of sales teams. So anytime a customer asked about, hey, I want to see a demonstration of that particular integration, they no longer had to book time with the implementation consultant to schedule the demonstration. They could literally send it out by video. And more often than not, that quick 1-2 minute video gave the customer comfort that, okay, you got it, that makes sense. If necessary, they would then go and book a deeper demonstration of the integration. But main point here is that it literally cut their sales cycle in half, just because they could send out those 20 different videos. So
Fantastic, love it.
whoops. So yeah, so point number one is that video can help you increase response rates, book more meetings, and create more opportunities. One step further, when you send that video out, you're getting a notification back of whether or not a person's actually watching, who watched it, how long, what they actually watched in the video. So it really gives you good sort of individual lead and sort of account intelligence in terms of how you're engaging with your content. And then further, we push all of that data into your CRM, whether it's Salesforce or HubSpot, et cetera. And so this is really important when I think about from a either a sales management or an individual account executive perspective. If you're targeting a select group of accounts, and a section of those accounts are really deeply engaging with your content, then that's where you sort of focus your efforts and double down and go wider within the account. So it really helps, like, you know, part of the challenge as a sales leader or part of the challenge as an individual contributor is that you've got limited time and you've got to focus your efforts. And so this data really helps our team focus our efforts when we're going outbound after particular accounts. And then we also use it from an internal perspective to track and sort of measure how effectively our team is using. So if using videos, so if we see that one particular person is getting much higher view rates than another person, it's like, wait, what does their messaging look like, right? We can actually drill down and look at that particular individual and understand, you know, is their messaging actually that much more effective, or are they doing more tailored research? So it's, yeah, this has been really, really important part of how we, you know, focus our efforts when we're doing outreach.
Love it.
So the second of 5 categories I want to showcase, so we talked about sort of that initial outreach, and then the second one is how do you share the right content at the right time, particularly when your marketing team's creating all this great thought leadership or customer stories or explainer videos. How do you actually put that content into the hands of the sales team? So with Vidyard, we have a library of video content, of that marketing curated video content, and we put that library into the inbox of the salesperson. So when you click on the Go Video button, it opens up your library. You can either record your own video like we just showed, or you can take advantage of an existing video asset that your marketing team or other parts of the organization have created. And so where I think this is really relevant is if you're, when you're starting to do sort of the next steps of your outreach or the next steps of the sales cycle, and you're still competing for mind share and attention, you want to make sure that you're sending out really relevant, thoughtful content to that prospect. So, hey, I've done my research on your website. I know we talked about this particular subject that was of high interest for you. Let me share. I've included a video example of one of our case studies, or I've included an overview of our documentation that I think is really important to that last conversation that we had. So that, like, extending the reach of that marketing content is really powerful in terms of driving alignment between marketing and sales, and just getting more out of the investment that the marketing team is making in video.
And I think the most underserved, here's one of the biggest changes we've done with our customers. It took a lot of blunt force trauma to get this change, but I think the most underutilized people within the organization that this serves in helping build consensus with a customer, help building rapport, is your solutions consultants, your technical consultants, your subject matter experts. Yep. Here's where we've been seeing our customers use this effectively. Yep. The account executive and the BDR can talk a mile wide and an inch deep on a solution set, as an example. But your solution consultants are truly, ex-customers, real deep consultants. Our best customers have recognized that this video sits in their hands. And the second that you start, an engagement process, let's call it from sales qualified lead on or discovery call and beyond. Yes, the solution consultant doesn't own the customer, but the solution consultant works with all of the AEs to deploy thought leadership. And that's why when you see in the bottom right corner, there's almost like the professor. This is the single biggest use that I use it for in my own company. I'm the subject matter expert, and so I'm brought in to engagements to make videos around best practices to push people off their status quo and to get them like, I never thought that was possible. Very interesting. And that's when I started the tip of the day.
Yeah, I love that. And in this case of the bottom right-hand corner here, this is Tyler Lassard, who's our VP of marketing. And Tyler's he's definitely a thought leader in the industry today. And so Tyler has sort of coined the phrase chalk talk. Actually, I don't know if it's Tyler's thing, but Tyler spends a lot of time creating like thought leadership content in the form of a chalk talk. And it's like, it's a little bit of a longer form video. So usually we recommend, you know, 1.5 to 2 minute videos. Tyler's chalk talks are like 5, 6, 7 minutes. And so
like TED Talks. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's like, so when you're engaged with a prospect and they're really invested in a particular subject, and Tyler just happens to have a chalk talk that's sort of aligned with that subject, like it's gold, right? So that's where we create that content, we put it in the hands of sales to extend the reach. The other thing, I think you hit on a really important one. Yeah, so when we first started off, the focus was on sort of enabling BDRs and account executive teams, but the more that we got into this, the more that we realized there was huge value for solutions consulting teams. And we also see product marketers leveraging GoVideo to create these sort of short explainer videos when they're doing new feature releases or they want to, you know, a new product launch. I think product marketing leveraging GoVideo to create like really relevant content that then the sales organization can have access to and push out is hugely valuable. In previous organizations that I've worked at, I've seen marketing teams create really good video content to, you know, to announce a new product release or a new feature, but it's put into YouTube. And so the sales organization, the way that they send it out is it's like, hey, here's a link to the YouTube video, and
like,
it's like
ether. Yeah, like
it's a text-based link, right? It's not like an engaging thumbnail like you see here. And more importantly, I mean, you have no idea if someone actually watched the video, right? As opposed to when they watch a Vidyard video, you get a notification back, the data gets pushed into your CRM. So it's just a way more sophisticated selling process, right? To use something like this. So yeah, so that was sort of the second example, tip number 2, and tip number 3 is, and this is one that I'm sure all sales organizations struggle with. You know, every week, every month, you run into, you know, in your pipeline opportunities that have sort of gone dark on you, and you're trying to figure out how do you re-engage. We found video has actually been a really effective way to do it on 2 fronts. Number one, it makes it more personal, right? As opposed to like, hey, I'm bubbling this email up to the top of your inbox. So, hey, did you get my email? Like, it's just, there's nothing there, right? But if you do it with video, number one, it makes it more personal. And number 2, you can make it more tailored and relevant, right? So in this example here, Tyler, you know, showcasing, hey, the reason that in our last conversation, this was really, really important to you, like you wanted to go through sort of our approach to security or GDPR. You wanted to have a demonstration of our admin console. So I just wanted to remind you like why it was so important to you know, reconnect and sort of determine if it was still of interest to you. So this approach to video has been effective at getting people to respond. Or if you've got an important meeting coming up and you take like 30 seconds just to sort of do a video intro, hey, agenda for the meeting tomorrow is XYZ. That's been a great way to sort of reduce no-show rates. So yeah, so that was tip number 3.
So, and we call this the dead zone. And on our team, Mike and Miriam, they learned this from a past colleague, where actually what they've been doing is filming, reviewing details of that industry's Form 10Ks. So yep. Form 10K is the public filing, business plan, SWOT analysis of a particular public company. So imagine you're selling into you know, manufacturing. Well, imagine what you're doing is you're filming, reviewing the key components of Form 10Ks of competitive CEOs. The reality, the reason why this was effective is the people that we're selling to weren't taking the time to actually read these Form 10Ks themselves because they're boring. But now what you're doing is you're synthesizing all of these ideas into 60 seconds and yep. kind of highlighting key components. And it's restarted a conversation like, wow, I wasn't going to go through this data. I didn't know about these data points. Let's have a conversation around them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same concept with the micro demo, right? Like from our last conversation, you mentioned that this was super important. I wanted to record this really quick overview of how we support that in our platform. And I think, it really showcases why it's important that we reconnect, because from what I understand, this is going to be super important to your plans for next fiscal year, right? So yeah, it's that's been effective for us as well. So last couple points to share. So the video sales proposal or pricing proposal. So I mean, first off, I'm a huge advocate of the pricing conversation. It's a live conversation because you want real-time feedback. But where we found this to be like really effective is in the follow-up, right? So let's say SalesforLife is a Vidyard customer. Maybe you and I are talking about a pricing proposal for expansion, and we have a live conversation, but there's maybe a couple of different stakeholders in the company that you're going to socialize with, and so we'll do a follow-up recap of the pricing proposal with make sure we've got the positioning sort of nailed in the context around the pricing approach. And this is really effective when a stakeholder is then sharing pricing with another group of stakeholders within the company. And then one step further, what we see is that if you get a lot of sort of view and activity on your video, that there's sort of a higher level of interest and engagement around that pricing proposal as compared to maybe someone who you send the pricing proposal and there's no views, there's no feedback, right? That can be a bit of a different scenario. So yeah, so this one's been a really way to sort of, and you can expand this to anything. It could be just like a summary meeting recap, right? Hey, great conversation. Here's the 3 things we talked about. Here's a case study example that's relevant to what we talked about. And then that stakeholder that you had the meeting with can share that resource internally, and they've got an asset that they can go back and view again and again and again to make sure that they understand some of the positioning properly.
And what we've been doing with our customers is combining Go Video with LinkedIn Point Drive as the delivery mechanism for all proposals. Unless the proposal is so highly secretive now that you can, in a Point Drive, you can lock down viewership, you can create passwords, these sort of things. But the reason being is you have the humanization and the contextualization of video intermixed with all the other typically rich media things that need to be passed in say a statement of work, right? PowerPoints, all these other kind of big assets. You pass it together, and now you've got double potency on the data. Number one, who has buying intent? Number 2, who's in the buying committee? And I use all the data points, Vidyard and Point Drive, and I look at it, and if the CFO has not opened that Point Drive or the video, my statement of work hasn't made it to the finance department yet, so I'm in trouble. Or if they spent 19 seconds looking at option 3, 3 videos, 3 pricing rules and option, they've been spent 19 seconds on option 3, but they spent 6.5 minutes on option 1, the bronze package. Where do you think I'm going to spend all my time next call? I'm not going to try to upsell them on the gold package. I'm going to focus on the bronze package.
Exactly. Yep. No, that's huge. Yeah, and it can also be a great way to qualify interest in routes, right? Like if you've taken the time to create a pricing proposal and no one's watching, we'll respectfully follow up and say, hey, we noticed that you haven't viewed the content. Is this still a priority for you? Let us know one way or the other. Yeah, so that's a good one. And then the last one, just sort of watching the time and making sure we've got some time for Q&A. So with Vidyard, when after our sales team closes an opportunity as one and sort of introduces that new customer to the Vidyard family, we introduce our customer success team who's responsible for onboarding, adoption, overall sort of satisfaction and retention of the customer. And so video is a great way to make that onboarding experience a little bit more personal by introducing the person through video. I loved your example earlier where you actually we'll do sort of the account executive and the CSM sort of side by side. Hey, it's
in the same office, and
exactly, and I'm right across the hallway. If anything that I can help you out, so you can make it much more personal. But then you can also showcase that you were listening. So hey, from the customer as a new customer success person, hey, I noticed. I remember Adam mentioned that this was really important part of your your onboarding and sort of why you purchased Vidyard. You wanted to make sure that your you're getting sort of optimizing the video experience for SEO. Here's all of our, I wanted to do a quick video for you with all of our knowledge-based documentation. Here's the link below. I think this will really help sort of kickstart the implementation of Vidyard and give you the assets that you need. So we'll use, video to drive an exceptional onboarding experience and sort of showcase different sort of assets or value add things that are available to them as part of being a Vidyard customer. So yeah, so that was sort of the fifth and final category that I wanted to share, just a bit of a additional idea beyond just pure prospecting and selling.
This is critical. I use this in the same vein as Facebook has become, at least in our professional services industry, for a connection with the customer. I'm going to tell a real story. For a year, we had been doing either go-to meetings, or we've been passing videos back and forth with our customer Microsoft for a year before I actually flew into Fargo, North Dakota, into their demand response office. When I got there, I walked in with a Mars chef, and the key stakeholders, they walked up and they gave me a hug. Never met these people a day in my life. But it's because we had built this relationship this way that felt almost human.
Yep.
And your customer success team, that is their, if you want retention, they have to make the customer feel like you're their best friend. And I've also found that Facebook has gotten a little political and stuff, but for the most part, by connecting with your customer on Facebook, it has allowed them to get a window into your life in a way that is humanizing. So anyways, I love this fifth option. And now, Adam, do you have a few minutes? I can ask a few questions from, and what I'd like people in the audience to do is in the question or the chat box, I don't know which one they should put it into, but I'll read all of them.
Cool.
Let me know if you have any questions. As you're kind of telling this, do you have some stories here, examples of success?
Just wrapping up, yeah, just sort of showcasing some real world examples, and this sort of highlights some of the things that we talked about with improving response rates and meetings booked, zeroing in on the most engaged prospects, creating 4x more opportunities. So I mean, this stuff works, right? And it works because our customers are spending more time educating themselves with video. They expect video to be part of the experience, right? So I do think that this is this is a super important part of the sort of the evolution of the sales cadence and the tools that our teams are using. So yeah, hopefully this.
I'll throw you a tough one at first, because I get asked this question as we talk about video best practices. You'll have sales professionals that will have sticky tape over their webcam, and they're in the heightened security challenges. So let's take this from both a security and a GDPR question. And Khaled had asked the question, with security being heightened across all companies worldwide, why would anyone want to click on the video, especially with aggressive spam filters and video thumbnails blocking company security features? So talk a little bit about that. Let's just throw the hard questions out first and make them easier on the back end.
Yeah, I mean, I think video, going back to like one of the original points, it's a great way of showcasing that it's not generic spam, right? Like you can tell when an email is generic spam. The video is a little bit different. It stands out as different. It compels people to click, but it's just that it's not spam. So I think that's sort of one of the first things. In terms of people fearing clicking, I guess it goes back to the trend in the industry where they expect video to be part of their normal day-to-day life. Mm-hmm. So I think the fear around that is diminishing, is what I see. Now there's clearly companies that are a little bit more progressive and innovative that are adopting this type of technology earlier than more mature established companies, but we are seeing more mature established companies start to use it as well. Maybe it's not for customer outreach, they might be using it for internal communications, right? If you're looking to do leadership updates and understand engagement internally, and we can authenticate that through SSO, we can lock it down, IP whitelisting. So there's a whole bunch of different security mechanisms behind the scenes that sort of support enterprise scalability of Vidyard. From a GDPR perspective, which you hit on, we're GDPR compliant already, so we were very proactive in terms of making sure that we were compliant by the time it was required, and all of our documentation is available in our knowledge base. So security is super important, and that's the reasons why companies like Microsoft and Salesforce and others lean on Vidyard to support their enterprise video strategy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it can't be missed on how important the personalization is, because imagine you get a thumbnail in your email and it's just me looking like I'm in a passport photo, like
probably not going to click on it. Yeah.
You're not going to click on it because it just looks like a passport photo. But the fact that one of the things that I like is your thumbnail stop motion, that first 3 seconds.
Yep.
So I try to be very animated in my first 2 to 3 seconds of the video, because when I send it to the customer, it plays that first 2 to 3 seconds in their email, and they can clearly see it has their name on it. I'm a real life person, and it comes to the next question I'm going to ask from Alfredo. Do you indicate on your subject line that you're sending them a video, or do they learn or expect the video from future emails? Maybe talk a little bit about the subject line of the video itself,
yep.
Of the email that you're sending. What are some of the best practices you're seeing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So is Khalid's on the security side. So for sure, a best practice for us is video should be in the subject line, because even like just having the word video for whatever reason will improve.
Yeah.
It improves the response rates. Yeah. So that's important in the video. And then I've seen our team as a best practice indicate how long the video is. Like, hey, I made you this quick 45-second video, so you know what you're getting into when you click on it. You're only committed to 45 seconds. So the length of the video when you're doing outreach in particular, and you're recording your own content, it's really important that initial video recording is short and sweet. You see a drop off typically after 2 minutes, but we'd say, for that first outreach, try to keep it to 60 seconds or less, right? And then as you're getting more engaged with the prospect, you can send out more tailored content like the chalk talks but now you've got their attention and you've earned their trust, and they know that you're going to add value. So when you send longer form video content, they're more probable of watching that longer form content. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a couple little tips that our team uses.
Last question. Jason asked a question. Is there a way to combine stock marketing videos, high quality, high density marketing videos, with an introduction to the sales rep? The purpose to personalize some of the effective marketing videos that have already been made.
Yes. So this doesn't do a great job of showcasing it, but in this slide here, you'll see it at the very bottom. It says easily create custom playlists, and that's sort of the cascade of videos on the right is sort of designed to showcase that. But yeah, so when you go into your library of videos, you've created your own sort of selfie introduction, which you see on the top, and then you'll explain, hey, after my video, I've attached our stock, the example that I think it was Jason provided. We've provided sort of this market analysis video, and then after that, there's a third one that sort of showcases a customer testimonial. So yeah, you can create custom playlists and attach marketing content to that quick webcam introduction.
Fantastic. As we wrap up, I want to demystify, because a couple people wrote this. I won't read out their names, but a couple people wrote this around. It seemed that you were giving examples of other technology companies, tool-based companies, like HubSpot as an example. How are real companies using this? But you and I were talking about this. We were talking about loan officers using this, and the insurance business. We have a customer in Germany that sells glass. Is a glass manufacturer to pharmaceutical companies and to breweries. Maybe give an example of a far-flung industry that people in the audience can realize. It's not just tech nerds like you and I that are using this. It's manufacturers, as an example.
Yeah, for sure. So you just hit on two really relevant ones. So manufacturing and then financial services. So manufacturing. So actually, one of our largest deployments of GoVideo is to a manufacturing of windows and roofing material. And so they're trying to showcase, I won't say a complex product, but they're trying to showcase a product that doesn't really lend itself well to written documentation, right? You can actually record examples through video. It brings it to life. It's a much easier way of sort of
Experiential.
yeah, experiential. Yeah. So manufacturing, actually, that's probably one of our um, top four verticals for Vidyard as a company, because of the nature of, like, you want to bring to life a more complex product, right? And video lends itself really well to that. So that would be one. And then financial services, I think just the industry, financial services industry is changing pretty rapidly and pretty dramatically in terms of, like, the trend of online, right? So the traditional FinServ companies are trying to figure out how they adapt and change, right, to sort of the decline of bricks and mortars and more stuff happening online. But then how do you engage with your customers and still do it in a personal fashion? And video is a tremendous way to do that, right? So we're actually seeing some larger deployments of Go Video into the financial services industry because of that changing landscape. So yeah, the three success stories at the end just happen to be high tech, but by no means is that video is ubiquitous now, and yeah, we're seeing it happen everywhere for sure.
Well, and this is fantastic. And we got into it for the sole reason that we sell, the joke of the sales training and consulting industry is you sell vaporware. We sell intellectual property. And so how do I visualize and verbalize very complex ideas into bite-sized chunks? Adam, you did an incredible job. Thank you so much. How do people get a hold of you and the team to learn a little bit more about video best practices?
Yeah, so check me out on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect there. Email is adam.king@vidyard.com. Shoot me a note there if you're sort of interested in learning more. More than happy to help out. So a whole bunch of different ways.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jamie. I appreciate the opportunity.
You take care. Bye.
Bye.